Russ, how are things?
I'm doing well, John. How about you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for taking the time. I love the new song. I have been listening to it over and over again this morning.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
It hit me that next year, and this is weird because I remember when an awesome wave came out is 10 years old next year.
I know.
How does that hit?
It's mind-boggling. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I think we that year was such a big year for us, and so much of it spent over in the States actually. Because doing lots and lots of touring over there and everything. So get to be back to start our tour off in America with a 2-month stint is really exciting. And whilst we'll be talking about the new album and playing lots of the new album, I think we've never stopped playing those songs off the first album. People often ask us, "Oh, are you going to do anniversary tours for An Awesome Wave?" And I'm like, well, it's not like we don't give people the opportunity to hear those songs when they come and see us, and we play most of that album every gig anyway. So we love that album, and we're not one of those bands who like only want to play the new stuff. Definitely.
It didn't hit me until like yesterday. I looked at the date. I'm like, was that 2012? Because I listened to that album over and over again. The new album, The Dream, comes out February 11th of 2022 now, which is a bizarre time frame. I'm just trying to like get my head around dates and things like that. Is there anything that is wildly different from the way you guys recorded and wrote this album than 10 years ago? Is it really kind of the same process?
I mean, yeah, the process is basically the same because it's been a winning process for us. It's basically, us three sitting, in a comfortable space together to write. And then this time around, we had our own studio, which we wrote in and then recorded in too. We've worked with the same producer, Charlie, that we've worked with since 2009. He's basically the fourth member of the band when it comes to recording. So, in a sense, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it with us. We've never felt this pressure to kind of try out like, big name producers. We're not like, oh, let's see what Rick Rubin's up to or whatever. We're happy here in London doing our thing as friends, and that's how we do our best work.
I feel like 2022 is the year I can finally stop asking bands and everyone in general, how was your 2020? I think once that year lapses, I can stop. But I am always curious, especially when you guys as a band were working on the new album. How was 2020 as far as communicating to each other? Were you getting together regularly? Are you down the street from each other? Or was it just sending clips and bits of song ideas?
Yeah, we're pretty close to each other geographically. And, I think we basically, when we were in the studio, we work quite fast. So we had like 6 weeks in 2020 of working before the pandemic kind of forced a nationwide shutdown. So then we had a few months off. And in that time, to be honest, we did... Joe did a lot of writing at home during that time, but I think we didn't really try to carry on working because I think there was we sort of thought, well, I don't know how long are we going to be out for? Is it going to be 2 weeks or is it going to be the rest of the year? No one knew. But I think we thought, well, actually, let's not make this stressful. Let's just wait it out and get back together when we can. And I think we'll be fine. And that was exactly how it went. We got back in the studio in August and it was all good. It was like we hadn't ever been away really. So we don't have any trouble once we're in the same room working.
It's got to be a nice feeling of normalcy in months and months of just, just imminent anxiety, I guess.
It was very nice, yeah, absolutely. And to be back in the studio and back to doing our normal, we have a nice routine. We come in and we kind of have breakfast together and go for coffee, and then we all go for lunch together, and we maybe go to the pub for a pint at the end of the working day. It's like a family affair really. So it was nice to get back to that.
It sounds like a very normal job, like a regular 9-to-5 job.
It's a regular 11 to 4 job.
That's even a better window. That's even a much better window. Not necessarily on this album, but I'm always interested when you play keyboards. Having zero musical talent whatsoever. Guitar is one thing, drums are another thing, but with keyboards and synthesizers, there's a very large, wide berth of sound that you can catch onto and encompass. And I'm just wondering, over the time that you're recording this, is there anything else you were listening to, other music, or even, this sounds weird, sounds that you just heard in nature that you go, that could work? I mean, you guys are a very multi-layered sounding band. is there anything you kind of caught on to or just walking around that you go, ooh, is that a piece that we can kind of click in?
Yeah, I mean, we do like to use kind of like field recordings and things on our album. So, for example, on one of the songs, that basically there was an ice cream van that came around us to the streets around our studio every day in London, which played Yankee Doodle as its tune. And so, like, you can hear at the end of one of the tracks, you can hear this ice cream van playing Yankee Doodle Went to Town for about 5 seconds. So, like, I guess maybe that answers your question. I don't know.
Yes, no, that's exactly it. Weird anomalies, things like that.
Yeah, that kind of thing. There's bird song. There was a crow that used to be in the tree outside the studio. He's on the album. There's all kinds of little bits like that. Yeah.
Are they credited?
No, thankfully not. The Crows have a very poor union rep, and we were able to get away with not paying them.
Avoid lawsuits with the aviary community if you can. Because they're
some of the least, they're not very litigious crows, thankfully.
Probably some of the least. Ostriches, very litigious. Anybody who walks a lot that can get from A to B usually will try to sue your ass off. It's very sad. One thing about the band that I'm always curious about, you guys are, and I don't know the depth of the fascination, but the idea of the triangle. I mean, the idea of Alt J being a triangle. How all-encompassing is the triangle thing? Do you get things sent to you from fans? Or, you know, do you only eat sandwiches in triangles? To what degree?
I think it's one of those things where we came up with it when we were students, you know, at the age of like 20, and it kind of, we quickly realized that we had almost like bitten off more than we could chew, because we didn't really have any good answers for what it meant or what it was all about. We've sort of like slowly, I wouldn't say distanced ourselves from it, but kind of like just calmed things down on the triangle front over the last few years. But it's, you know, it's nice to have a little symbol, and we do still chuck it in things from time to time. I know it pops up in the video, and we always put a little triangle on the spine of every album we make. So you know, it's our little badge, but we're not too concerned with it these days, I suppose.
No matching band tattoos or anything like that.
No, we talked about it. We nearly got matching band tattoos on the last album, actually, but then I guess one person wasn't as keen as everyone else, and so then it seems a bit pointless.
it's gotta be unanimous, you know. Otherwise,
exactly,
resentful. It's a good time to bring up band loyalty, though. You're like, well, how committed are you?
I know, yeah. Are you willing to ink it? You know, come on.
The other thing about the band over the years that I'm always fascinated with is how your songs are used in movies and TVs shows. And do you see a spike or a blip in you know, they used Tessellate on Sons of Anarchy, Captain America. They used Left Hand Free. When those happen, I don't know if you guys as a band have a decision as to whether it is used in there, or if you're told later on. Some bands go, oh, we didn't know it was going to pop up on this movie until after it did, and then we, you know. Do you guys notice any kind of blips in things when that does happen historically?
I think it's certain ones, yeah. You know, I mean, we always get sent through them to our emails, and we approve pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like, you know, so it's what's interesting is it's often the ones that we don't realize are going to be the biggest ones that end up being the biggest ones. Like, I think one of our songs was used in a show called Suits.
Okay.
I've never seen Suits. I think it's the one that Meghan Markle was in, right?
Yes, that is it. Yeah. That is it. You're right.
I don't believe Suits was big watched over here in the UK. So, but then we kind of came to America, and everyone was like, "Oh, Suits," and we were like, "What?" You know. So, I think, you know, it can be a really good thing for sure. Yeah, and it's always worth, you know, we're very happy for our music to be used in that way, because I've discovered over the years, you know, great music. Thinking back to like being a teenager watching the OC and stuff, I mean, that always had really good music on it, and that was the way I discovered new music. So yeah, why not?
I always love those shows. A friend of mine and I always call it the greatest show we've never seen. When something's really popular, everybody's talking about it, but we just haven't really, it just doesn't hook you in, and you just kind of go along with it. It goes, I'm sure it's a great, I don't go lying and telling people I've seen the show, but it's just like, I bet it's a great show, and you hear like a song off of it or something like that. Like the OC was like that. The soundtrack was practically the spine of that show. You know, all those bands at the time, it was so huge.
I know, like the Killers played on it and stuff. You know, it was just a mega thing. Yeah.
Is there any TV show going right now that if they're like, we want you guys to perform live in the background or in the bar, is there any show that you guys are just locked into right now?
I think there are certain things. I mean, it's interesting. I know that like Joe is it's not a TV show exactly, but Joe is a huge fan of Hot Ones, this thing on YouTube where like people go on and get interviewed, but they have to eat hot wings with progressively hot sauces on. I think if Joe got asked to go on Hot Wings, that would be his life would be complete basically.
Well, that would be a challenge. You guys could play while eating the hottest ghost pepper things and see if you can get your song.
Be very, very funny. Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's at the point of which you're at. I think into the fourth album, I think as a band, you guys can do that.
I hope so. I'm putting the call out right now.
What happens between now and February when the album comes out with you guys?
So we start rehearsals for the tour a week on Monday, which is very exciting. Going to get back together with our crew here in London, and that should be fun. And then December, we're kind of like doing a bit of European promo-y stuff. And January, probably do a few warm-up gigs in the UK of some description, maybe under a different name. Who knows? And then we'll be kind of getting ready to leave. And I mean, it's it's one of those things where right now it's like after Christmas, so I'm not thinking about it. But once Christmas and New Year is over, it's going to be like here, basically. So yeah, it's going to come around fast.
You have to kind of ramp everything up in the next like 2 months and get ready for this thing because it's been so long that it's almost extra work, right?
I need to remember how to play the keyboard for sure.
What fake band names have you used in the past? I would imagine you're not going to use the same ones again, but what have you done?
I can think of, I mean, like, it might be fun to sort of just, to throw out some names that we talked about touring. So basically when we're on tour, we have this joke about having a safety burger, which is like when you're about to get a flight and you're not sure if the food's going to be good. So you have like a safety burger in the airport, just so you, and we thought Safety Burger was quite a good band name. So we might tour under the name Safety Burger.
I like that a lot, actually. It's just a regular good name. If you guys are ever going to go, side project, I think that's the direction I would go.
It's true. It's almost wasted on just a few warm-up shows, but hey.
Years ago, I lived in Madison and Madison, Wisconsin, and Butch Vig had a studio there. And when Garbage would do what in your situation right now, there before an album, they would play shows around Madison, small clubs under just insane fake names. And really? A handful of people knew about it, but most people didn't. And it would be on a Tuesday night, and then all of a sudden, Garbage is there, and at a 100-person club, and it was just again the best thing you missed. It was always the fear of missing out, the ultimate FOMO show. You wake up on Wednesday and go, no, they played. So I'd imagine like the whole area that you guys are in are kind of like, you guys playing? You're like, can't tell you.
It would be fun. I mean, it's funny. Like I actually now by chance live my local pub, like 50 meters from my house is the pub where we did our first ever gigs in London, the Victoria. And so it has a back room it has a gig room in the back. It would be really fun to go and play there again. And it would be extremely convenient for me. So,
Is that Victoria in London or where are you?
Yeah, London. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I went to school in Ealing for a semester.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm over in East London, so pretty long way from Ealing. But yeah. I
went to Thames. It was called Thames Valley University at the time, and that's why when you said Victoria, I'm like, I know. There's a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, like it's it's a bit like I don't know. I can't think of a generic American bar name, but it's like there's got to be hundreds because obviously she was queen for so long. But yeah, anyway, no, it's yeah. It's a good pub.
Well, I definitely want to leave this on that mysterious note that you may or may not be playing around somewhere, maybe under a fake name, maybe under Safety Burger, which I love. Now I'm just gonna make logos, T-shirts. I'm gonna be a huge fan of a band that doesn't really exist.
Fantastic. That's the edgiest thing to do.
Guys, I appreciate the time so much. Looking forward to you coming back to the States. I know you're playing Chicago. I want to tell everybody, March 19th, you're going to be in Chicago at the Credit One Arena. That'll be the closest to Milwaukee you're going to be, but would love to see you back in Milwaukee. I know it's going to be a busy tour, but safe travels and get some rest.
100%. Thank you for all the support. And really hope we can make it back to Milwaukee soon. And thanks for having us on. Thanks for playing the record. Cheers.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Take
Bye.
care, guys. Bye now.
Bye.